What's up, guys? Matt here with Ham's Mobile Services. I think I got another pretty good one here. This one was another big learning experience for me. I really upgraded my game, my equipment at this point. We'll just go through it as we get to it. But don't tell my wife, but I'm using some of her recording equipment right now. It's actually pretty nice stuff. So we'll do this. So guys, before we get too in depth on what I'm actually doing here, I want to share with you my major learning experience on this one. I had just bought an extra 150 feet of hose. This was after the previous house I had just done the video, just before this one. And I was planning on mounting everything to the bed of my truck and working from my truck. This dock was so far away from the street and from his driveway, I had to pull my equipment out of the truck in order to reach it at all. I could barely reach the back of his house with the stuff in my truck. So I started unloading my stuff. I went ahead and timed myself just to see how long it took to get my stuff unloaded and down the hill. And I don't know if you guys live near a lake area, but the hills by the lake are steep. The yards are steep, everything is steep. So by the time I started washing this area, I was already dead exhausted. So like I said, I timed myself. It took me over an hour to get my equipment moved, set up, and start washing. So my learning experience on this one was I bought another 150 feet of hose, pressure hose, bought another 200 feet of garden hose, and I bought hose reels. So now everything is mounted in the bed of my truck. If you see my video about my truck setup, then you'll see what I'm talking about. That has been a big time saver so far. It has been great and incredible. Best decision I ever made. Just unfortunate it took this to figure that out. So while we're talking about that, I had to unload my equipment, right? So when I was done, at the end of the day, I was so dead exhausted from walking up and down this gentleman's hill that I was just done, you know? But it still took me another hour to hour and a half to wind my hose back up, load all my equipment back up. I showed up to this gentleman's house sometime in the early afternoon, and it was actually after dark when I left. I had to wash the last section of his house while it was dark. That was not very much fun. So that's the main reason I switched to the setup I have now. So let's go ahead and talk about this job now. This guy was a referral from one of my wife's previous work acquaintances. He works in an industry where he sees lots of people. So he was a great guy to hand our business cards to and to get referrals from. This was a dock cleaning and a sidewalk cleaning. I was not interested in the dock, and I tried talking the guy out of it, but that was going to be the make or break as far as this goes. If I didn't wash the dock, he didn't want me to come do it. So bodies of water are something you can't dump chemical into, such as SH or degreaser. So what you'll see me doing is I'll wash one direction, then I'll turn around and wash it the opposite direction, and that gets rid of the tiger stripings, where a pre-treatment and a post-treatment would have gotten rid of those and would have saved me time from having to go back and forth the way I did. This dock still turned out great. Not as good as if you laid down SH on a driveway or something of that sort, but it still turned out great. The goose poop stains would not come out, and like I said, since it's on a body of water, I refuse to put any chemical on it whatsoever. So what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning the outside area, and then I'm going to move his furniture to that outside area so I can clean where the furniture was, which was nice because his furniture here is in a shaded spot, and it was the largest open area that was shaded, so it was great washing in there. That was my favorite section of the job. So just after I get done with this section here, there's another spot behind that boat where it looked like the concrete pavers were painted. So I didn't want to use my surface cleaner on it because I did not want to peel up any of the paint. So I used my rinse tip on my J-rod and just got close but not too close to it and just rinsed it off the best I could luckily though, that section was the cleanest section of the dock, so it wasn't difficult. So here you see me fighting with getting no water. This was something else I changed. I bought a cheap hose from Walmart and the end kept blowing off of it. So I actually had to stop like this 3 different times, go fix my hose, turn around, come back. Luckily I didn't burn up my pump on my pressure washer. But this is why I've said in previous videos, buy decent equipment up front. You don't got to get top of the line right up front. I mean, I'm using a DeWalt pressure washer, but that cheap Walmart garden hose could have ruined my washer. So now I run Flexzilla garden hose for everything. So this turbo nozzle setup I got going works really great for me. I love it. I stick a lance on the end of my wash gun, and it's actually the perfect height for me to set it on my shoulder, just rest it there. And that allows me to get the perfect distance, so that way the turbo nozzle area looks just the same as the surface cleaner area. This part of the dock was probably the most drastic change out of all of it. You can see the line where my surface cleaner wasn't touching. This part was also the biggest pain though, because I had dragged my hose down that part of the dock. I had to move it every couple feet while I was washing, and it made it a pain, but it turned out great just like everything else. So I was actually really happy. I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep doing docks at this point, because the road was roughly 400 feet from the furthest section of the dock, and that is a ton of hose, guys. I have 300 feet of hose right now, and I still wouldn't be able to do this dock. Like I said, it was time consuming, but it was relatively easy because I didn't have to lay down any chemical at all. But just the amount of equipment I'd have to keep doing these is what's kind of shying me away from it at this point. This gentleman here had just laid down fresh mulch. He made sure to tell me that so I didn't mess it up. And for those of you who don't know, fresh mulch will fade really bad if you put SH on it and don't take care of it properly. So this section here is the only section I laid SH down on, and luckily it was the dirtiest section. It was nice to watch. This was towards the end of the day. I was exhausted, so it was really refreshing to see something come clean as drastic as this did. I did wash that retaining wall as well. I chose a small section, sprayed it with SH to see what would happen, and it soaked in instantly, guys. I mean, like instantly. So I decided just to I used my 20-degree tip, I believe, and just hit it with enough pressure to knock the algae off, but not enough to destroy the concrete. So after I finished up here, I moved his furniture back into place. I pulled my phone out because I took a picture just to make sure I was putting everything back in the same spot, just to provide the best customer service I possibly could for this job. All right, guys, I just wanted to reiterate 2 main things here. These are the 2 main things I learned. These are the 2 main things I want you guys to walk away from if you're going to learn something from this video. That is, have the right equipment to do what you need to do. It is a huge time saver. I could have saved 2.5 hours on this job if I would have done this up front. And I know I said that on a previous video. After this job, I went out and I bought the extra equipment I needed to mount everything in the bed of my truck and to do most jobs for my area. I have 300 feet of pressure and garden hose mounted on reels in the bed of my truck. And around here, my driveways are kind of long, so I needed that extra hose to make sure I could reach all the way around the house, you know what I mean? And the second one goes hand in hand with this one. I don't want to ever take a job again where it surpasses my skill level or my equipment level. I want to make sure I can stay within 300 feet of my truck and something I'm comfortable with. I still want to learn, but I need to make sure I stay relatively close to my comfort zone in order to provide the customer service that the customers are expecting, you know. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. See you next video.